Thank you, everybody. Thank you for coming. We'd like to get started. Yeah, okay. Thank you very much. We're going to start off our meeting, Board of Education, June 18, 2019, 7:30 at the Sarah Noble Intermediate School. If you would join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And thank you. Okay, before we get started with public comment, I'd like to poll the board and request that we move item O, adjustments to the 2019-2020 Board of Education budget item, to the agenda where we are right now.
So moved. Second.
But there's no motion.
There's no motion. I'm just asking if there's any strong objections.
It's within your purview. It's not a special meeting. You can move the order, providing there's no discord from the board.
Okay. With that being said, please listen carefully. This is unprecedented. I've never done quite a motion like this before in my life, so we're going to go for it. I'd like to move that we table item O until a special meeting to be determined next week. If I could have a second on that, and I'll speak to that motion.
I'll second. I'll defer.
I'm sorry, go second.
Okay. As of today, we've had some very late developments in the talks that we have been having with the town regarding the ECS money of $433,000. Obviously, that will impact greatly our actions if we were to take them tonight, if we were to receive them later and not be allowed to apply them to our operating budget. It is therefore my understanding, after conversations with the mayor's office, that on the town council agenda for next Monday night will be a discussion with regards to budget relief in several forms to the Board of Education. Hopefully, and I am confident that something will come of that meeting, in which case we would have a special meeting as soon as possible, because we have the fiscal year of July 1 to be concerned with, and we have to have everything done and set. I'm going to ask others that were, well, Wendy, you were at the meetings over the course of the year.
Just to give the public a brief overview here, this conversation has been going on for a couple of days at operations. We reported to operations that we would like to set up a meeting with the mayor's office with regards to ECS and possible budget relief on Wednesday morning. Myself, the board chair, Anthony, and the interim superintendent met with the mayor's office to bring forward some ideas and what the possible ECS would be. And that is the funding coming into the town and how it would benefit the board. Our concern is, how can we make adjustments that would impact the budget that we're voting on in our operational budget, rather than something being put into the capital reserve. We went over to the mayor's office, brought forward some ideas, had a rather lengthy, robust conversation with those ideas, and been following it up ever since. Roughly later on this afternoon, we heard from the town that it will be posted on the town council agenda, and we will try and come to some collaboration to give us some relief of a $600,000 reduction, which clearly we are all struggling with. We've double-checked with legal counsel. I am the board parliamentarian, and asked that the board would table this, and legal counsel confirmed that that is the appropriate manner to proceed and not to take action, rather to table this and move it forward to next week after we hear from town council. And that is where we're at.
That's where we're at. Yeah, these have been ongoing conversations, actually, for many months now.
True.
Any other questions or clarifications?
Wendy, just for the sake of the public here, could you just please define what ECS is so they understand?
Well, it's the reimbursement to the town for, educational funding. And we, when the budget adjustment was made, there were some concerns made by other boards of what that reimbursement would be. And decisions were made on that shortfall. And is it fair to say that we've been apprised that that funding is not going to be as grim as it was portrayed to be. With that being said, with ECS coming into the town, our conundrum is how do we wrap our arms around some of those monies to take effect into this operational budget to offset the reductions that we have to make. Putting those funds into a capital reserve is going to be not going to help us with
No.
these reductions. We still have to get to this number unless we see some type of relief that hits our operational budget. So there's been a lot of collaboration, a lot of thinking outside the box, and coming to the town and saying, here's how we think we might be able to do it. We don't know. We'll have an answer on Monday. I know that it's, as per the board chair, who contacted me at approximately 5:30, that it will be on the agenda. And so therefore, it would be presumptuous of us to make reductions when we may not have to as aggressively, and we're hoping that we don't. But in all fairness, after also speaking with the board chair, we realize there are a lot of people who come out to speak tonight. If those of you who still choose to speak about this topic, it's the board chair's purview to review the public comment arena and how he wants to hold it, but you're certainly welcome to do so. But there will be no action on this budget reduction tonight. We're hoping to
Well,
as long as we
assuming,
vote.
as long as we
We're
table.
assuming that the board tables it and supports the motion.
And again, just so everybody does know, time is of the essence. The fiscal year ends very, very soon, and that would require a lot of clerical work on both the town side as well as our side to accomplish these things. Hopefully, we don't have to change any numbers, and then we can just merrily go along. So how about that? So time is of the essence. I anticipate a Tuesday special meeting. Okay, any other discussion or questions?
Dave, by way of clarification, the Tuesday would be to follow a Monday town council meeting?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Which, as I know you know, we will have to warn the meeting by Monday. For
Yes.
special
Yeah,
meeting.
24 hours.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jake.
Okay. Any other questions or clarifications? Those in favor? That's unanimous. Thank you. Okay. Now, we'll move on to public comment. A 3-minute time limit is allocated for each speaker with a maximum of, 20 minutes being set aside per meeting. That's flexible. The board may, by majority vote, cancel or adjust these time limits. If a member of the public comments about the performance of an employee or a board member, whether positive, negative, or neutral, and whether named or not, the board shall not respond to such comments unless the topic is an explicit item on the agenda and the employee or the board member has been provided with the requisite notice and due process required by law. Similarly, in accordance with federal law pertaining to student confidentiality, the board shall not respond to or otherwise discuss any comments that might be made pertaining to students. And have we got anybody signed up?
Yes, we do, sir. All right, we're going to start off with Sharon Chamberlain.
Good evening, Board of Ed. I appreciate you having this public comment tonight. My name is Sharon Chamberlain, and I am the current president of the Milford High School Band Parents. I have been a band parent. I'm going into my 20th year. This program means a lot to me, and I kind of had a speech, and after what I'm hearing tonight, I'm very hopeful, but I am here to speak about the cuts that were made to that program. Number one was to our field trips. I understand things have to be under a certain category, but this is not a field trip for these kids. This is part of their curriculum. If you're in marching band, you're doing music, you do marching band. Their field trips, as it's put under, are actually their competitions. These kids put in during the school year, during the fall, 20-plus hours a week. They're there all day Saturday, they rehearse during the week. I'm going to tell you right now, when I look behind me and I look at all these faces, these are the people who have become my music family. There are alumni here making the cut also to their winter percussion program. That's gone. That whole thing is absolutely takes away that program, and same with the Winter Guard. That budget, being there, and if I ask any of these kids, what does this program mean to you? Some things, this is all these kids have. And when you take away half their transportation budget, they don't go to state championships. This group here were state champs last year. They represent this town. I am so proud to be, to know each and every one of them. There's some here that have graduated 4 or 5 years ago. Some are just last year. Some getting ready to graduate. I've gotten to know every music educator. Also, Chris Carlone here from Sherman, very personally. And these educators work very hard. But this is part of their curriculum. They get a credit for this. These kids put more into it. It's another full-time job for them. And they do it well, and they represent us well. I'm hopeful that what you're talking about next week, that there might be some relief, that you will consider those line items. We had a 50% cut. There was another field trip budget that only had 10%. That does not seem fair enough and equitable for this program. So, I can speak all day long about this, but this is a passion, and if I can look at all these faces, these are the music guard, percussion, color guard, band, orchestra, jazz kids, parents. So they came out tonight. I put that call out to them, and they did it. So I'm very proud to be part of that, and I do hope, and I will come to the town council meeting that comes, and I appreciate your due diligence in trying to talk to them about this. So I'm really humbling asking you, reinstate everything that was cut for these kids. Thank you.
Okay, Albert Byers? Bears.
Oh, yeah.
David, could I have a point of privilege?
Are you comfortable?
Excuse me, could I have a point of privilege?
Yes.
Just for a moment, for clarification for all of the public out here this evening, the recommended reductions are recommended reductions. There have been no reductions. So these decisions have not been made. And I think that everybody needs to know that. Thank you.
All right, my name is Albert Bayers. I've lived in New Milford for 52 years. And the reason why I came to New Milford, I was hired to be the very first band director that New Milford High School had. And I started in this very building when it was the old high school. And it was a struggle. I started with 25 kids who couldn't blow their nose, I like to say, let alone an instrument. I had 2 or 3 that were quite outstanding, and one to this day is an international jazz flutist. That wasn't because of me, it's because she was already quite accomplished. Anyway, it was a struggle for many, many years to build the program, and needless to say, New Milford was a real Yankee community in those days, and the arts weren't foremost in their minds. That was almost like a waste of time. But I think I tried to change a few minds, and I think I did along the way. When I retired in 2001, I left about 100 kids in the band. We had an orchestra at that time because of a woman who was a very fine violinist, played in New York and so forth, and taught most of the violinists we had in the group. And they were quite good. Sad to say, she died in the middle of a performance in Greenwich, and had a chamber music performance. But at least we had gotten something established with the strings. But, we had a marching band, we had a concert band, and I had a jazz ensemble. And the program, as I said, grew. In 1976, actually, we went to Disney World. We flew down in a plane. They don't do that nowadays. It was a lot of fundraising in town, and it was the bicentennial year, and we performed at Disney World.
1 minute.
Yeah.
1 minute.
Okay. Well, anyway,
No, I'm just keeping time.
okay. The point is that what I struggled to build, I left in pretty reasonable hands when I retired in 2001. And when Mr. Sizdek came in, Dave Sizdek, he has been unbelievable. And I think it should be very important to everybody here. This band now, this program, which starts with Mr. Gregory, Mr. Fitzgerald here, and Mr. Gregory at Scotticoke, and then of course Mr. Sizdek is outstanding. And you can't have an outstanding program unless you have that feeder system coming in. And the point is that it's a highly respected music program in the state of Connecticut. And as was Mrs. Chamberlain just said, they took first place this year. And it's never been in better hands. Their concert groups are outstanding. Their wind ensemble played recently with one of my old outfit. I was a member of the band at West Point when I served my Army time. And it was great for those kids to have that chance to perform at Milford High School about a month ago. So anyway, I think it's very important that this all be taken into consideration. You just don't throw something like this over. And you're not affecting just the high school. It's affecting the middle school and the intermediate school. And it's important that these kids have something to look forward to. And it's just something that has to be addressed in a proper way. And I certainly hope that that's going to happen. Now, I'm a little relieved because when my granddaughter, who's still in the Milford High School band, told me this Sunday, I couldn't believe it. I said, "You've got to be kidding me." It's really bothered me. And I taught for 40 years, and I played professionally for about 4 or 5 years. 3 I played at West Point. But anyway, I've had a wonderful experience. My daughter's a music teacher at Chappaqua. She's the choral director. And all my 3 sons played in their respective college bands, Boston College, Villanova, and University of Pennsylvania. And they got some wonderful experiences out of that. They didn't go into music. My daughter was my one musician, but that's it. Okay, I hope I haven't overstayed my stay.
All right, next up is Kristen Stewart.
Good evening. Thank you, Board, for giving us the chance to speak. I'm involved in the band program. Both of my daughters enjoy the band. It's also the orchestra, the guard, the winter percussion, the jazz band, the wind ensemble, and concert bands. And that's just at the high school. I was upset by hearing about the deep cuts, proposed cuts to the program. And I was surprised because there's a lot of recognitions for music kids and band kids. And the board and superintendents, for as many years as I've been taking photos, have always supported and congratulated and said how proud they were of the program. And I know you are. I just want you to remember that with the proposals that are being put on the table. If the cuts are held, it would be pretty devastating. And again, I understand they're proposed. Going to the band competitions, over the years, we've seen bands, one band disappeared, Brookfield doesn't perform anymore. Newtown and Bethel's numbers have dropped. You can tell because they're in different classes of competition, which includes how many people are in the band. New Milford has grown. They went from a 5 to a 6, which means they have more members to perform and compete. And thank you. And Danbury is a shadow of what it used to be, even when I went to school there. They had probably more than we have now, and now they are in a very small class of performers. They're very good, but they don't have the support of the town, the city, and the board, as we have always had. I just want to ask you to heartily consider how the proposed deep cuts made to the music and arts program will affect this wonderful growing program.
All right, Shay Bumgarner.
Good evening, Board. My name is Shay Baumgartner. I am a 2018 New Milford High School graduate, and I'm a rising sophomore in college, and also a past percussion captain in the band. Today, I gave up half a day's pay at my job in Lower Westchester, which is very close to New York City, and that's enough money for me to buy groceries for a week. But when I heard about the budget cuts, I knew that this was a sacrifice I had to make, and I've made much higher sacrifices in the past for this program. In 2017, I convinced one of the top brain surgeons in the Northeast that my brain surgery had to wait so that I could go to World Championships for the Winter Percussion Program. While this was a little difficult, managed to make it happen. We ended up 30th worldwide, and over 120 schools arrived to this competition. But that was really only part of why I showed up. All percussionists in New Milford bands have an acronym we write on the insides of our arms before every competition. GMFH. Green, something I can't say in a town meeting, heed. During my surgery, everyone wrote on their arms SMFB, SB, my initials. They all sent me photos of their arms. When I came back to band class, the hugs I got were as tight as you could expect from the kids who worked their arms out every single day with drumsticks and mallets. I have never forgotten the hugs that I got, nor will I ever. The New Milford Band program is much more than a perk for the district or line items on a spreadsheet. It's world-renowned. It's more than important. It's safe and a welcoming place for students to learn about music and life. When I thought about it when I was writing this speech, the most dangerous thing I could think of that I had done during this time was I went to Whole Foods with my friends without telling my mom to buy lunch. That was the most dangerous thing I can remember doing during that time. Thank you. I learned sometimes that you laugh and cry with the same people. What's a half a day's pay and a stupid brain tumor compared to that? The children of New Milford deserve to have those same opportunities as now and always. New Milford Marching Band memorizes its music before its first performance. And I may be in college now, but I return to New Milford to vote every election. That's my way of telling you we have very good memories, and we won't forget the decisions that you make. Thank you.
Michael Tarby.
Hello, New Milford Board of Education. My name is Michael Tarby. I'm a alumni of the band program. I just graduated this past year, and I'm actually at work right now, but I told my boss I had to step away because of how important this is to me. I would like to address at first the fact that the proposed cuts are not cutting the entirety of the band program. I want everyone to make sure that we understand that. But these cuts really will have a tremendous impact on our program, and I'd like to go into that. First, the cut to the field trips or transportation as it is. Competitions are where we become motivated as members of the marching band. When you see opposing towns such as Southington, Portchester, these fantastic band programs, and they really are just phenomenal, and it makes you look at your own program and consider the places that you can improve. And that's really what drives everyone here. I know that through the past couple of years, Newtown has kind of been our motivation. They had a fantastic band program. And one thing that a lot of these programs have is a fee associated with membership. And that's something that concerns me when hearing about these budget cuts, is that although the program itself won't be eliminated, this money is crucial to the band program. Attending all these competitions is necessary for us to improve, and the band will need to find a place to make up these lost funds. And so a concern of mine is that if these cuts are approved, then the band might need to implement a member fee. And the concern that I have with that is that a lot of people in this town might not be able to put up that fee, especially kids that are kind of on the line. I know for a lot of people, even just a fee of $20 would be enough to discourage someone from participating in the band program. And I'd just like to give a little personal anecdote. I thought I was going to quit the band program in middle school. Luckily, my mom convinced me to stay in it. And I've done it all throughout high school. I was the drum major my senior year. And it's the reason why I currently attend the University of Connecticut. I'm still pursuing the marching band there. They've provided me with fantastic leadership opportunities, networking, the chance to travel across the country. I've been to Florida and California and New York and Boston with the New Milford band here. I've been to Tampa for the women's Final Four at UConn, and this program has really changed my life, and I wouldn't want that opportunity to be not available for anyone else as a result of any fees that might come up. So thank you very much.
Sarah Morris.
Good evening. My name is Sarah Morris, and I will be an upcoming senior at New Milford High School. I've been a part of this music program in all of our schools since I was in 4th grade. It seems like a long time, but really, the years become quicker and quicker each year, that I can't even explain where the time has gone. Being in the marching band for the past 3 years has been one of the most important activities that has shaped who I am and where I am headed. As being a member of this band, and as a girls' varsity lacrosse player, I am lucky enough to have experienced both of these different atmospheres. High school is a tricky time. I've grown up with my peers in school for as long as I can remember, and I've really noticed that this is a terrible time in which teenagers are so heavily focused on themselves rather than the other people in their lives. How blind we must seem to the importance and values of our education and the meaning of our clubs and activities. A team sport can introduce many different values of working together to accomplish an end goal, but as being both a member on the field with a lacrosse stick in hand and as a member on the field with an instrument in hand, I have found that marching band is much more than just what it seems. Some of what makes this group unique is that it's learning how to take the first step together. Every year is just a new year as we all start from scratch, unknown of where we will end up after learning just the first few steps of the show. A senior is just as equal to a freshman than one may think in this regard, as no one can expect what is coming next. If a person is missing, we cannot perform at our best because we rely on each other to play their part in our presence. And lastly, we are only as strong as our weakest player. Being a part of this group has had an enormous impact on my life. I am who I am because of what I've learned from this group. As difficult and tiresome and as fun as sports are, there is nothing more amazing than what I am about to explain. To work so incredibly hard at something you thought was impossible to do, and then getting the opportunity to perform while your legs, fingers, lungs, and your mind correspondingly move together in muscle memory is unexplainable. The feeling you get inside of you when moving across the field while playing your favorite part in the show is one that cannot even be explained using any of the English words that I know. It's the little things that keep us together, like our bus trips to get to these competitions and our equipment which can provide the tools necessary to board every instrument and build each of our show-worthy props. These things are taken for granted sometimes, but we cannot build the program that we desire to if the little things cannot be provided for us. I believe marching band is an experience that every high schooler deserves to have, even if they don't realize it. As I stated earlier in that high schoolers majorly focus on themselves, I believe that band gives teenage students the realization that it is not just about yourself, but about the whole. We cannot get where we want to go without working together and without relying on one another. These lessons that I've learned, I will take with me for the rest of my life. And this is something that I cherish every day, and I wish I could explain to my peers that don't have the same experiences that I do. By removing the budget for the little things, like our transportation and equipment, our program's number of students could decrease exceedingly throughout the years if this does happen. This beautiful experience that I deeply yearn for other people to have does not deserve to be taken away from anyone that is a part of our program, including our techs, our chaperones, and most importantly, Mr. Sizek and his students, along with Mr. Gregory in the middle school, Mr. Fitz here at Sarah Noble, and Mr. Carlone over at Sherman. Thank you.
Jenna Epstein.
Good evening. My name is Jenna Epstein, and I am a color guard co-captain at the New Milford High School Marching Band and Color Guard. Though I've only been with the program since my sophomore year, it has had a tremendous impact on my life. It has taught me about perseverance and the importance of hard work, as well as countless other life lessons that have improved myself and my character. However, I digress. The color guard at the high school just a few years ago was a mere 8 people. However, it has grown to be 22 people this year. The program has flourished in the past 2 years and has brought so many people joy. Because of this increase of guard members, we now have many people that would love to participate in a winter color guard. So many of us are very excited at the prospect of starting a winter guard. However, I couldn't help but notice that the proposed budget cuts would get rid of this winter guard program. Though I understand that budget cuts are necessary, I ask you to reconsider the amount of cuts being made to the marching band and color guard program before finalizing the action. Both programs enrich the lives of students, and if the cuts were to pass, it could cause the cost of doing band and guard to make it more expensive, so that students that are less financially stable, they would not be able to participate in band. The marching band and color guard are an incredibly valuable part of the high school and students' lives, and every student should have the opportunity to participate in the program. Thank you for your time.
Miranda King.
Hi, I'm Miranda King, and I'm here to speak about the Talented and Gifted program. I know you're thinking, why should we give money to something that not all students are privileged with? One reason is that it teaches us new things about our interests. Dr. Decent Croy is always happy to help us find books and articles about anything we want. Because of this, we can pursue topics that aren't taught in normal classes. Another reason is that it challenges our minds to think harder than we do most of the day. This helps us stay engaged in school. For example, in TAG, we have been using the design process to create models of items that can be used to help people moving to a different planet and building a city called City X. TAG students who aren't challenged can become truant, have their grades slip, or not meet their full potential. David Lubinsky of Vanderbilt University says that intellectually talented kids don't get the attention of policymakers, but if you're trying to solve problems in the world, like climate change and terrorism and STEM innovation and transportation and managing our health care, you'll want kids like us, and you'll want us to have had our educational needs met. One more reason is that in TAG, and I feel that all of us students would agree, we are incredibly happy. When I am with these wonderful students and teacher and talented and gifted, I am truly in my happy place. Thank you.
All right. Kenrick Grubner. Oh, sorry. I tried.
I'll try to beat that 3 minutes.
Choose 130.
Hi, I'm Kenrick Gubner, Sherman resident, so I'm grateful for the opportunity to come and hopefully lend a little bit of a different perspective than some of the residents might. I'm the father of 2 young boys, the older of which, Sloan, just finished a wonderful freshman year at New Milford, and sincerely thank you for your efforts and your role in facilitating that. I wanted to talk about the fact that Sherman School, as you may know, pre-K through 8, has a smaller enrollment than even just the freshman class this year. So there's more than a modicum of risk in going from a small environment like that into New Milford. And we have our choice of, at last look, roughly half a dozen different high schools. It seemed to me that it was going to be a natural that Sloan was going to end up going to Chippewa up in Washington, just because of the size. But we heard about the reputation that New Milford had for the music program. And that's really swayed us. And I would say roughly 98% of the reason why we ended up at New Milford. And I know that roughly we represent, I don't know, a couple of $1 million in income in terms of tuition to the New Milford school budget. We wouldn't be at New Milford were it not for the stellar music program. And I think that any sort of cuts to that are going to potentially damage that reputation that made us take a hard look in the first place. So I just wanted to mention that. And I can say conclusively, I could even name names, that there were students currently at the Sherman School that were planning on going to Chippewa that my son convinced to end up coming to New Milford next year, again, because of the music program. So thanks for the time. Thank you.
All right, Nathaniel Smith.
Board of Education, I stand before you and representing a large part of this school. These hundreds of faces who have shown up just for one specific reason, and that is the band. That's all we're here for. It's what we are here for, because that is what is feel is threatened by what the proposed budgets that are put in place, that may be put in place in the future. And I am here to show all of these faces who are here because they are passionate about something, so passionate they will drop anything. They'll drop surgeries, they'll drop jobs, they'll drop time on their hands just so they can come out here to represent what we have to offer. The New Milford Marching Band and all the subsequent bands, the Milford Middle School Band, the Milford Intermediate School Band, they are all here because they are very passionate about what they output. And that cannot be threatened. We come here, we put hours and hours upon end upon beatings, and not actual beatings, but just the mental reverberations of the toils that we have taken, and all of that can be at stake if this goes through. And so we come here begging, pleading with you to make sure that our hopes and our dreams for the continuing future, for this New Milford Marching Band, for all subsequent bands in the future, that these seniors can come out with a excellent view to continue sharing and promoting this wonderful group that I represent. And I cannot sit here and say bye and stay idle. Well, all of our futures and the Milford Marching Band's as a future reputation is on the line. Thank you.
Liam Cooley.
Hello, my name is Liam Cooley, and I am in the 4th grade. I participated in the TAG program, Talented and Gifted, for the last year. The program helped me realize that I was intelligent in different ways by offering learning activities that challenged all of the students. These activities helped to see things that we had not before. For instance, sharing with us this upcoming worldwide writing competition. I also wanted to speak about my teacher. She has inspired me a lot throughout the year. I always say to one of my friends, why isn't every day tag? The reason I say this is because of my tag teacher. When I found out that this program may be at risk, I was not pleased. This program helps me to express my creativity. It improves our understanding and our grades, and I think it will help me in getting a career one day. What I am asking is for you to please give a bit more money into this amazing program. Please, for the next generation. Thank you.
All right, sorry if I butcher this name, Kim Hasiak.
Good evening. My name is Kim Hasick, and I am here tonight as the outgoing treasurer of the band parent organization. As 4 years ago, my son Matthew joined the band. We actually debated on high schools for him, private school, public school, and it was the band that ultimately had Matthew go to the public school. And I don't regret that decision. He had an amazing 4 years, and he also actually made that part of his college search when we were looking for colleges. I never would have imagined that I'd be looking for a good engineering program and a great band. And that's what we ended up looking for. And he will go off and be a part of those two great programs. So you've heard and seen the turnout for this band, and hopefully you'll take that into consideration as you make your decisions going forward.
All right, Heather Bird.
My name is Heather Bird. I'm a fourth grade student in TAG. This program is very important to me and others. We would be very sad, not only the kids in TAG, but our teacher. We wouldn't see each other as much, and we wouldn't have as much TAG to look forward to. The teacher and everyone in TAG, including me, have bonded during our time at TAG. It would impact all of us very hard. Some of us learn better in TAG than we do in our regular class. That group includes me. As well as being in TAG, I also have a disability. My disability is ADHD. ADHD makes it hard to organize and focus in my regular class, but in TAG I'm able to stay focused because in TAG it's a free-form class. Not only that, but my brain knows TAG is helping people like astronauts. It helps them create ideas. It also helps kids get inspired by others. If you want less inspiration and less successes, then take away TAG from people that want to inspire others and be helpful. Thank you.
Megan Bird.
So, of course, I'm going off script here because of the inspiration I have from these marching band students. I graduated 30 years ago from Southington High marching band, so I'm sure you all are familiar with that. I heard it actually mentioned tonight. It's a great band program, as well as New Milford. My children are now in 4th grade, and we've been attending the marching band competition here in New Milford since they were 3 years old, basically as soon as I could safely get them up the bleachers without worry about falling down. My daughter is started this year in marching band, or in band here with Mr. Fitz, and loves it. And she was in her first parade this spring, the Memorial Day parade. And I snapped a picture and I shared it with my band and alumni page that I am still friends with 30 years later, a lot of my band programs. And I hashtagged it, Eyes with Pride, because that's Southington's go-to thing. We don't write it on our arms back then. They might now, I'm not sure, but that's Southington's go-to thing is Eyes with Pride. And that pride still carries through. And I saw that pride in my daughter's eyes in 4th grade. And she looks forward to being able to get to the high school and have that experience. But I really came to talk about TAG, as she did. The TAG program is phenomenal. And these children don't have an outlet that they need in their regular ed classrooms. We have stripped our budget so much that our regular ed classrooms are overburdened with not enough help in them. Most classrooms have no para support, yet they have probably close to a third of their population, in a lot of them, that have specialized plans and specialized needs, and the teachers are supposed to differentiate instruction for all of those students. And what happens to the students who need differentiation on the other end of the spectrum? It gets lost. they get handed a box of extra work to do. Not that my son wasn't excited with his Einstein box at the beginning of the year, with his extra math problems. It was challenging for a little while, it was fun for a little while, but then he realized, this is just extra work. I'm going to read, and that's okay. I want to read the last couple paragraphs of a letter from Jessica Smith, which I believe you all have received actually via email, the board. But she's, understands that children with learning disabilities like her own child need plans in place and additional services to succeed. That's what it means to be inclusive, to serve all of our students with special needs. Other children, however, also deviate from what's typical. In our district, we have 135 identified as gifted and talented, and an additional 140 students receiving enrichment education services. These students benefit from the exposure to different types of learning, problem solving, and theory. These opportunities allow them to explore content more deeply, employ creative thinking, create new solutions to existing problems. Our TAG program does not receive excessive support. The budget and the personnel in place to service these 275 students is necessary to cultivate opportunities and to meet the students' own unique and special needs. Our district is more than willing to claim the achievements of these students. We are more than happy to tout their accomplishments, and we are certainly delighted to have their test scores thrown in the mix. So we should be willing to fully fund and appropriately educate them as well. And that's my issue, is that we need to appropriately educate every student. And that means that the students who are on the other end of the spectrum are being challenged by their TAG program. And we need to keep it fully funded. Thank you.
Nora Steiger?
Hi, everybody. My name is Nora Steiger. I graduated from the band program last year, and I'm currently studying kinesiology at the University of Rhode Island. The reason I throw my major in there is because it has nothing to do with music. But I have continued to involve myself with music at URI, and it has become a very integral part of my education there, as well as my social life. That would not have been possible without learning how to march, learning how to spin a flag. I am part of the color guard at New Milford. Something that Jenna did not mention earlier, because it was before her time, we used to have a phenomenal winter guard program. Phenomenal. They won awards for years, and unfortunately the program closed due to lack of participation in 2013 or 14. My guard captain, when I was a first-year student, so back in 2015, was one of the last members of that group. And she used to tell me stories about the group and all the fun they had. When I joined the Guard, we had 8 members. And obviously it has grown so much, and that makes my heart so happy. One of my goals when I joined the Guard was to grow it, knowing full well that even though I had always wanted to march in a Winter Guard, I would not see that happen in my time here. However, I heard the numbers this year, and I saw that Winter Guard was a possibility, and that made me beyond happy. I make the trip in the fall to come back to the home show because it means so much to me, and it's been a dream to come back to a Winter Guard show. And it breaks my heart to know that that might not happen because of the proposed budget cuts. So that is something to take into consideration. Another thing that I just want to briefly mention, I am from Sherman, like some of our other friends here. And my sister is in the 4th grade this year. She turned 10 a month ago. My brother is a junior who plays sousaphone, but my sister is in the 4th grade. She's under the direction of Mr. Carlone, and he's done an awesome job of teaching her baritone this year. My little 9-year-old sister is playing baritone. But, yeah, thank you. She, at her spring concert this year, she was talking to one of the other parents. One of the parents said, "So do you have dreams for high school yet?" And she said, "All I want to do is be in the New Milford High School marching band." And I was like, "You're in the 4th grade." But I never had that sense of direction when I was her age. But because of my brother and I's involvement in this amazing program, she's already made that decision. She's already wanted to commit to you guys because of that. And so kids starting as young as 4th grade are making that decision because of this program. And that's something to think about. It's not just kids making the decision in 8th grade to come here, it's kids in 4th grade. And to think that the band could have deficits, that it could shrink, that it could affect her possibility of wanting to be part of the program breaks my heart. But anyways, thank you for your time. It's a pleasure being here.
John Heaton.
I came here to speak about something that is very close to me while I've never even joined band, but band is something where a big part of it is family. It is a home and a family to so many students that is somewhat, it is somewhat unimaginable and it's disturbing. It kind of gives me a sick feeling in my stomach to see that these cuts are possibly going to be made. I decided to join band for this year, this upcoming season, because of this home and family that it provides to people who go home and they might possibly not have that much of a great family at home. There's people who don't have that sense of home. Band is something everyone can join and they get that sense of home and family. And the main point I'm trying to make is band is more than something for people to do. It is something that improves the mental states of people, and it's something that upkeeps the mental state of people. With winter percussion with being proposed to have massive stipends, like a stipend, it is very much concerning to me. If winter percussion was to effectively be cut, you would have people who might not have the best situation. You have people who, instead of going out on a nice Saturday morning and practicing with their favorite people in the world, they're staying at home, self-loathing, and possibly I'm not saying everyone in the band is that way, but you definitely have that. And as aforementioned, I kind of came to the decision to join band because of that proposed family and togetherness, and which is something I have experienced with other programs that I have done. I personally don't plan on doing more percussion. That's because I have my own family and thing that there is at the all-school musical. I'm not saying band is the only option, but I'm saying band is a big option to family. Every student in the school needs and has a family, either whether it be of friends, their parents, and their other relatives, or it could be a mix of all of them. At the end of the day, band is more about anything, and when deciding where to make cuts, I strongly recommend you should stray further away from band and any other related program. Good day.
All right, Samantha Learson.
Hi, my name is Samantha Learson. I'm a second-year color guard member, and I'm speaking on the behalf of my mom. I am writing to protest the cut of the Milford band budget. I recognize that the Board of Education has requested more adequate funding than what was passed in this spring's budget referendum. I understand that the board must make cuts to what was passed. I know the choices that the board must make are difficult and painful, but I am pleading to case for the band. Students who perform in the Milford band concert are enrolled in a class and receive course credit for their participation. Marching band is a part of that coursework. Cutting transportation budget for the band negatively impacts that coursework. Parents already dig deep enough into their pockets to support the band. Students must purchase their own shoes, glove, color guard uniforms, and other equipment. Many students purchase their own musical instruments. Parents volunteer both money and hours of their time to help build clean transportation for the band. Students and parents actively fundraise throughout the school year to pay for band activities. We sell pies, wreaths, and butter braids. We sell program ads. We host schools from around the region for our halftime show competition. We bake refreshments, tickets, and donate raffle prizes. Each of these activities is done to reduce the cost of our band, students, and for the board. Each of these activities is a commitment of the time, energy, and money. Most of us cannot simply make up the several thousands of dollars this budget cut will require to fund. There is no nonprofit similar to the MVP SOS that I know for us band kids. By cutting the budget, the band may need to cancel participation in competitions, which impacts students who, just like athletes, wish to pursue scholarships and opportunities for college. Some students may not be able to participate in the band at all. I urge the board to reconsider this decision and seek another solution to the problem of the budget shortfall. I urge the town residents to support a healthier school budget next year. Sincerely, Julie Learson. Thank you.
Gina Falenka.
Hello, thank you so much for listening. I know there's a lot of passion here, a lot of people, yeah, very, very interested. I'm not going to say anything that you haven't heard. I heard that it's just proposed cuts. I heard you. Thank you, thank you. And if you have the extra money, winter percussion, we pay. We pay $500 for winter percussion. I mean, pay to play, right? Right there. If you have extra money, we could use it. Thank you.
Sophia Falenka.
Good evening. I'm Sophia Falenka. I am 17 and I'm going to my senior year at Milford High School. I was actually homeschooled up until high school, and so I came into the program 2 weeks before school for band camp, and I did not know a single person. And upon getting there, I've met an immense amount of people that have changed my life through the program. I was going to talk about winter percussion and how it affected my life. I want to say that we went to Dayton in 2017, my freshman year, and I cannot believe the passion that the people held for the program. I was not familiar with the program because I was a freshman, but going to Dayton, going to World Championships, I really saw how it touched the people that have been fighting for this program for prior years, and it urged me to continue, and the work ethic in the program has shaped me through schoolwork and through marching bands continuing in it. I want to speak about the program today because it has made me want to wake up in the morning and go to school. It has made me want to get through the school day. It has drastically changed my life from coming to be homeschooled to coming to be in a high school of 1,600 kids. I didn't know if I would ever make a good friend group, and this year I have formed the best friends that I will ever have. And the season this year, we only had 15 people, and the year prior to that, we didn't have a season. And the 15 people have worked incredibly to make this season happen. And we had techs that have worked incredibly to be there after they have worked all day and to come and support us and teach us. And we need the funds in order to keep this program alive, in order to get the equipment we need to proceed, in order to have techs for our program. And not having this program would devastate a lot of people and a lot of generations that could come in and be incredible percussionists and go on to be incredible people from the shaping that this program has taken on us. Thank you.
All right. Paul Fitch. Is it? Or good evening and thank you. These are hard acts to follow. And a lot of what I could say you've already heard. So I'd stand there and tell you, I have no kids in the school system. I'm just a taxpayer. And it was heartwarming to hear that you have had discussions with the town council in ways to support the education budget, because it is heart aching every year to go to the polls knowing more often than not what will defeat the budget is the education budget. And it is disturbing to know that more of our parents don't get out and vote in support of the great education program that we have here in New Milford and the great music program. The last time I had a chance to address you was actually when Cindy Iflin was retiring. And there were rumors that her position would be swept up in attrition. And it wasn't, and that program continued. The other times that I've been here have been when my two children have received recognition for regional or all states or all Eastern competition from the board for their excellence in music, and I appreciate that. So both my kids are grown, but my introduction to the music program started when Michael, who's now 22, started at Northville, and at open house, Mrs. Beto said, I want to start a chorus. I need an accompanist. So I looked at the music, I said, I'll give it a go. And I was her accompanist for 8 years. And similar to Shay's comment, taking off time from work, I would take off time from work. Thankfully, I had the job where I could do that. And I said when I met you last time, and I would echo it again, I remember our first chorus rehearsal with 90 kids, and it was chaos. Absolute chaos. But by the time the spring came, she had a chorus. And they stood there as ambassadors, proud of who they were, proud of what they did. And those ambassadors continued through the education program, particularly the music program, here at Sarah Noble, and then at Schaghticoke, and then up to the high school, where they have become ambassadors in the band, and the band has become ambassadors of this community. Whether you're greeting the teachers at their initial convocation at the beginning of the year, whether you're saying goodbye to the graduates as they play for graduation, whether you're greeting the community at Memorial Day, or you're representing the community on the streets of Fifth Avenue in the St. Patrick's Day Parade, or in California, the band stands as a proud representative of this community.
30 seconds.
And I know that you would do nothing to intentionally hurt the band. I don't envy your job at all. I would just ask, if you're considering this, hopefully there won't need to be these draconian cuts, but that if there need to be cuts, there's parity in the cuts. And you take to heart everything you've heard tonight. Thank you.
All right, Nick Fitch.
Hello, members of the board. My name is Nick Fitch, and my father, yes, just spoke. I would just like to, yeah, I know, amazing man. Just like to bring up a brief little background about myself and how music education has not only affected me, but my future career. So I was brought up by my father and mother, who grew up playing in crazy places, cathedrals, churches, Carnegie Hall, places that I was just amazed to really understand once they told me. And thanks to the music education program in New Milford, I was able to explore my ear and where my emotions and ideas in music went. And because of that, I was accepted into Berklee College of Music in Boston. Now that, on its own level, is just absolutely crazy. And I chose to continue studying music education, and hopefully I plan to teach a music program of my own one day in a future state, wherever I may end up being. And something I learned from my countless observation hours is we're very fortunate to have the program we have here, the teachers, the funding, the students, the camaraderie, everything that's already been said. I also learned there's so much that ties music education into what is core classes, everything like that. You know, practicing an instrument gives you dedication. I need to practice this many times a week. It gives you a sense of organization. You learn to read music, and that's a whole nother language that I could go on for hours about. But not only that kind of stuff, but music education has also it's given me opportunities to talk to people like famous artists. For example, Victor Wooten, famous bass player, grew up in California, walked into one of my classes one day, and my teacher said, "That's the kid who has perfect pitch," and he's pointing at me, and I'm like, "Don't talk to me." She was like, "Man, I'm so jealous of you. Where'd you come from?" I said, "New Milford, Connecticut." And she's like, "Oh, wow, that's great." And then we started talking about my program. He said, "Wow, you're so fortunate to have the program you have." And after sitting down with him playing the piano, he had this crazy sense of like, "Oh, I wish I had the upbringing you had," because he grew up from a much worse perspective and scenario. And to have the programs that we have, if he was in one of our very few programs, imagine how far he would have gone now. He's famous, but just imagine. Okay, so I'd just like to say thank you for this opportunity. hopefully you can see that not just myself but other talented individuals behind me have the opportunity to go as far as I did and maybe even further. Thank you.
All right, Adam Crispo.
Good evening. My name is Adam Crispo. I am an upcoming junior in high school. I'm the section leader of the front ensemble in New Milford High School marching band. So instead of repeating what everyone else has said, I figured I'd share an anecdote about how my freshman year went. So I was deciding between going to New Milford and Abbott Tech, and the one thing that made me choose New Milford was back in 6th grade, after the big band bash, someone in the high school drumline came up to me and said, "Don't quit band, you're gonna love it in high school." And I remembered that, and I decided to join the New Milford High School marching band, and I made so many more friends than I could have imagined. Like many of them I'm still friends with, and they're off in college now. And then this past year, I did winter percussion for the first time, and that made me very close with the 15 people that we had in our program, and it really, I wouldn't give it up for anything in the world. Thank you.
All right, Chris Carbone.
Good evening, board. My name is Chris Carlone. That's okay. I'm the director of bands at the Sherman School, so your neighbors. And I think this is great. I invite all of you to attend a Sherman Board of Ed meeting if they ever decide to cut band in our town. But the opposite has happened in Sherman. Instead of cutting the band, when I was hired at a .6, they turned the program into a full-time. We went from 28 kids in the band to next year we'll have 116. Thank you. So it's a bit disheartening for me to hear about these cuts from some of my parents of students who now attend New Milford. A new climate's being built in Sherman regarding music with the help of collaboration from the wonderful music teachers you have here in New Milford. I have students who hear the New Milford Band in the Memorial Day Parade and the Big Band Bash, and I know that they picture themselves in those uniforms at a young age. For me, that means a lot, because I wore that uniform. I am a 2010 alumni of New Milford High School Band and Winter Percussion. And not to put a date on Mr. Fitz, but he was my beginner band teacher. In 2009, myself and some friends convinced the then music teacher, Jonathan Grauer, to start a winter percussion program. That year, we competed in Chicago, and it goes down in one of my proudest moments, giving me lasting skills I would use traveling the country in drum corps, pursuing my bachelor's and master's in music education, and as someone who has recently paid off my student loans, I'm very grateful for the scholarships I received from music. Since then, the music program has flourished each year, and I often would return from college to watch my younger sister compete in the winter percussion. Thank you. When I went to college in New Hampshire, I told some of the incoming freshmen in the marching band I went to New Milford High School in Connecticut, and some guys from the drumline said, "Whoa, dude, I've seen their YouTube videos. They're awesome." So the drum and color guard techs' jobs are also at risk with these proposed cuts, and we get great techs here who really inspire the students just as much as Mr. Sisdek does. Sherman students have a choice of high school. I admit that I'm a bit biased when 8th graders ask me where they should go for high school. I'm sure my students can quote me saying, "Yeah, New Fairfield is good, but New Milford is where it's at." And I like that as a catchphrase. Please don't make me change it. I recommend you not to go through with these recommended budget cuts. If you choose to make the right decision, I recommend you visit the Marching Band Home Show or Winter Percussion Home Show or Color Guard Home Show and revel in the fact that you did something good for the youth of our town. Thank you.
All right. Michael Fitzgerald.
Thank you for, is this on? Thanks for the opportunity to speak. And I have a letter here was written by most of the music department, so I'll read that first. Dear Chairman Lawson and members of the board, New Milford Board of Education, first, thank you for your service to our town. You all spent countless hours doing the hard work of balancing the needs of our education system with the ability of the townspeople to support it. You all deserve to be recognized for the hard work and difficult decisions you make. Honestly. So we're here tonight to ask your consideration in reducing or eliminating the superintendent's recommended cuts to the budget for the curricular instrumental music program at New Milford High School. It's important to make the distinction that the program at New Milford High School is curricular and not extracurricular, even though a lot of the activities are outside of school. That said, we feel the proposed reduction of $9,000, which is 50% of the amount to the transportation budget for the band, and the elimination of the stipends for winter percussion and winter guard in the amount of $14,000, which would be 100% of those stipends, is disproportional compared to the other reductions, and will make it impossible for Mr. Sizdek, New Milford Public Schools Teacher of the Year, with good reason, it'll make it impossible for Mr. Sizdek to accomplish the goals of the instrumental music curriculum. The New Milford School District has an excellent music program, far exceeding by many measures the accomplishments of other districts in our DIRG, that's Demographic Reference Group for those of you that don't know, and even higher DIRGs. We work together as a team and hold collaborative concerts spanning all grades, allowing the younger students to hear and see the accomplishments of the high school students. This is really important. It motivates the little kids to work hard and to accomplish more. The proposed cuts will have a major impact on the quality of the program at the high school, and it'll have a ripple effect down because the program at the high school will be diminished.
Just 1 minute.
Okay. The Board of Education has always been very supportive of the music programs, and that support is evident in the high quality of the program. As mentioned earlier, the proposed reductions are disproportional, affecting the high school music program, which is a curricular program. Please give Mr. Sizdek the appropriate tools to continue doing his good work. And I just have a list I'd like to read to you. Guess what these people have in common? Bonnie Alger, Beth Harvison, Allison Park, Tim Polhemus, Matthew Lieberman, Holly Brown, Gina Carosa, Wes Marshina, am I out of time yet? Chris Thomas, Chris Ciaglo, Chris Carlone, Chelsea Zimmerman, Kristen Krause, Tim Lewis, Nick Fitch, Sean Charles, Rob Patrick, and there are more. Do you know what they all have in common? They're all professional musicians or music teachers that graduated from the New Milford school system. So, thank you.
All right. Margaret Fitzgerald.
Good evening. Thank you for sitting here and listening, giving us the opportunity to make our views known to you, and thank you again for respecting the time and the emotion that's in this room. My name's Margaret Fitzgerald. I'm a 40-year music teacher, 30 of them spent in the neighboring town of Brookfield. I live here in New Milford with, yes, Mr. Fitz. And yes, I do the same thing that he does, and that is teach fourth graders how to look at that instrument in the right age, the right way, and put it up to their mouths and blat into it. And hopefully by the end of that blatting session of a year, we have something that resembles a 3-year-old learning how to talk. These people have taken the universal language of music, and I've seen it in my own 4 kids. They now have it. They own it. This is their vernacular. This is more than just their family. This is an emotional connection that they have, and they found it in a curricular area. It's not an ACT test. It's not Dibbles. It's not Fountas and Pinnell. It's not an IQ score. It's not any of those other letters that we define our data points, students, by. These students holistically are educated because you support them, the New Milford Board of Education. And we really hope that the cuts to the band program do not have to be made, so these students to continue to grow and learn and flourish in their vernacular language, that of the arts, music.
Joshua Violet.
Hello, I am Joshua Violet. I'm a fourth grade talented and gifted student. You are you, that is truer than true. There is no one alive who is youer than you. This is a famous quote said by Dr. Seuss himself, and I think he is right. You are you, and I am me. And we are all different, but back to me for a second. I am me. All of us are similar in some ways, but not all the same. I need TAG. TAG is an engineering and science program, and I am a math and science person. In TAG, I feel like I belong. I walk inside and think this must have been made for me because it's perfect. Normally, most kids get bored and want to leave school because they only like one or two subjects, but not the rest. And trust me, I'm a kid, I know. But not me, because I have TAG to look forward to. And TAG is so much fun, because we have one of the best TAG teachers ever. As I said before, you are you, and this is me.
All right. Jessica Ryan.
Hi, I wanted to ask you not to decrease tag programming or staff. I've always known that my 9-year-old was very bright, but she would still second guess herself. She expects perfection from herself. This year in tag has raised her confidence dramatically. She has found her place. In tag, she is learning things that challenge her. She has found a place to ask her complicated questions, and she adores her teacher. Thank you. And also, please support our music program. Thank you.
Deborah Van Franken.
My name is Deborah Van Branken. I'm here to talk about TAG. My son William didn't want to speak, but he would like to stand for this program. He is currently finishing up 4th grade. He's been in TAG since 3rd grade. This is Brother Isaac. I cannot overemphasize how important this program is. Being a gifted child can be challenging. It can be isolating. They think differently than other children. It's not just, smarter. It's a whole different wiring up there, and they need a supportive and understanding place to build to their full potential. I also just want to mention that to do all you can, please, to keep Dr. de St. Croix, because she is an enormous asset to the school and the town. She has this way of making each child feel special, feel important, feel included, feel normal, feel like they belong, and that they have this potential.
Refrain from
Oh,
naming
sorry.
employees.
Sorry. I think that. So I think that TAG is needed for these children. They, as you can see, they've come up and spoken to you tonight about it, and I would urge you to consider that. Not to cut the program or cut too much to the program, because it is a shining star in our school system. And also support the music program.
Evan Lorenz.
Hello, my name is Evan Lorenz. I'm in 3rd grade at Sarah Noble Intermediate School. I used to not try my best in class during science and art because I was a bit bored. I draw a lot and I read a lot about science. I felt that my usual science and art lessons were not very challenging. Sometimes I would get in trouble in class class because I was a little bored. This past year at Sarah Noble, I have been participating in science enrichment with Mrs. Brawford and art tag with Mrs. Amadeo. I love these classes. They give me encouragement to learn and and think more and give me a challenge that I enjoy. In art tag, I also get advice from 4th and 5th graders in the program. Art tag and science enrichment are fun and something that I look forward to during the school day. These classes have made me even better at art and science. Please don't take away these programs.
All right. Michelle Stewart.
Hi, my name is Michelle Stawas, and that was my son, Evan Lorenz. I would like to reiterate his request to please not cut any portion of the TAG program. TAG has motivated my son to do well in so many aspects of school outside of the TAG program. MAP test achievement is a prerequisite for qualification for the TAG program, or at least for science enrichment. And since my son first experienced science enrichment while at Hill and Plain, he has worked really hard on his MAP test to stay eligible. He has also worked hard to stay well-behaved and focused in class so that he can participate in TAG and science enrichment. These extra classes have provided an important source of motivation for him to try in school. Often, kids who find mainstream classes a little too slow or a little too simple based upon their own ability or experience level find themselves checking out in class. Some lose the desire to try or to achieve their ability level. Worse, they can become a classroom distraction for other kids to learn. TAG and science enrichment motivate and challenge these kids. We have just as much responsibility to help these kids achieve their potential as any other kid. And some of these kids are at risk for not achieving their potential because they need challenging opportunities to stay engaged in school. So please refrain from cutting from the TAG and the science enrichment programs. And also support the music program.
All right. Jeff Winters.
Good evening. It looks like I'm the last name on this long list, so you can take a deep breath soon. I actually am here tonight because as of last night I learned that the town had not responded to this request as to how the state education cost-sharing funding, ECS, was actually going to come to this board. And I was stunned that a commitment that members of the town council clearly made back in March was potentially not going to be honored. So that's why I'm here, but I'm going to have to change it up a little bit here, because when I sit on my back deck or I open my windows when the weather is nice, I live on the other side of the high school, on the other side of the golf course from the high school, and I can hear you guys. And it's good. Could you play a little louder? But I hear you. And these people hear you. But the problem is the people who make the real money decision to cut the budget, they need to hear you months ago. But more importantly, show up Monday, let them know how important this is. When they originally deliberated on the budget, the word correct, and actually when they talked over the budget with this very fabulous board that you have, very bright board, the word curriculum was never used in any of the questions. Neither were most of the academic programs were not even mentioned by the town leadership. Most of the people in band, you guys are pretty smart, right? You, you would and tag too. You're right. Sorry. Oh, thank you. If you don't mention curriculum and you don't discuss things other than sports, are you really serious about the Board of Education? Are you really serious about the education of these kids? Are you serious about anything? And that's what's important. Is it's good to see that you're all here, but you've got to stay involved. You've got to stay involved or you will lose. You will lose every time. That's why these budgets often fail. And lastly, I'd like to acknowledge there are two people on this board that have been here for at least 16 years. They go through this every year, and they stand up, and they've been fighting for you guys for years and years and years. That's my friend David Lawson and my friend Wendy Fallenbach. And there are no better public servants in this town than those two. Thank you.
Actually,
just for the record, refrain from mentioning board members.
Public figure.
I like how you said that after. Say it.
For the record.
All right, we actually do have one more person, and it's Mr. Greg Mullen.
Wish I wasn't last. I'm a father of two kids in our school system. Both participated in a music program. My son is playing tuba and loves Mr. Fitz. And Claire, my daughter, also had the same experience. And I hope she's inspired by the band and everybody here. The band is very inspiring to my kids and obviously to every other kid. And I don't think we could be prouder of what they've done for this community. First, I'd like to say thank you for serving our community. I know the Board of Ed may be the toughest volunteer position, and it's impossible to make everybody happy. Your service is appreciated. My kids have benefited from the Milford school system. My experience has been, while there's always room for improvement, it appears that the administration does a pretty good job tracking and addressing the individual needs of its students. I talked to a lot of people, and the vast majority give the high marks to our school system. I'm going to briefly touch about TAG because it's being considered for reduction. I've had a lot of discussions over the years about the TAG program and its benefits, its shortcomings, and administrative policies, which I understand is a work in progress. Before coming here tonight, I read a 2017 newspaper article about Connecticut TAG law. I'll read you a couple of quotes from the article. The gifted and talented students' academic and social emotional needs have long been neglected by our state. Neither should it be assumed that just because someone is bright, that they will be okay without the special type of education. If ignored, social emotional needs of gifted students can lead to isolation and bullying. For too long, these students have been overlooked. The special education budget, if my figures are correct, and forgive me if I'm wrong, is greater than $5 million, and the TAD program, already way underfunded, is a small fraction of that. Please consider not allowing what little progress has been made to be undone. I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
We're good, Mr. Lawson.
Well, I'm going to extend an offer if anybody else wants to speak. Sensing none, thank you very much for your participation, and we'll move on.
I think you got to
No, I got to take her. All right.
Me too.
Okay. Board, Jennifer Lesiak. I am an alumni of over 20 years from New Milford Band. I was under the tutelage of Al Bears. Do not cut this program. Do not cut anything that they do.
I have family members that have been in this band for years. And all I can ask is, yes, I do give to these guys more than I can say. The knowledge that they learn from being a team is more than anything. I put out a thing on Facebook when this started, and I have alumni that are willing to come on Monday to speak about how friendships last and teach you guys how to grow and become human beings of tomorrow. I have friends that are amazing people who do amazing things. One of them is a viral study scientist. He studies viruses. He was one of the band's actual color guards. So think about it when you decide to cut from their budget something that they need. These students do wonderful things, and you cutting their budget for something else is not right. I know when I go to vote for the budget, I vote yes because I know my money is going to help these kids grow to be better people of the community. So I do thank you guys, and thank you.
Again, thank you very much, everybody. We'll move on to our agenda. Okay, PTO report. You know what? I'm going to call recess for 10 minutes, 5 minutes. What? 5 minutes. going to be reconvening. Thank you.
My foot slipped off the step and I just like sliced it.
I had my last final today. I think I think quite well.
Thank you.
Because I set my alarm. It was 6:15.
Okay, we'll move on with the rest of our agenda, starting with the PTO report. Sorry for the delay, but you always have good news.
Well, and I do. So the end of another year has arrived. The New Milford PTO has accomplished so much this year, and I am pleased to say that this group of volunteers are some of the hardest working people I know. I will try to put it into a snapshot for you. This year, the PTOs have granted to the schools over $90,000 for field trips, author visits and assemblies, staff and family fun nights, just to name a few. The PTOs have sponsored around 100 events, including movie nights, book fairs, school stores, and much more. The townwide PTO Scholarship Committee awarded 11 graduating seniors scholarships for college. There are approximately 20 board members who lead the school PTOs, along with various chairpersons, committees, and volunteers, numbering around 150 who brought all this together. Because of their hard work and diligence, students in New Milford schools have had many different experiences and made memories that may not have otherwise been possible. PTO also brought under our umbrella Camella's Cupboard, an organization seeking to eliminate food insecurity in our community. This is another part of our mission, according to the PTO bylaws, to support the raising of the standards of home life and to promote the welfare of children and youth in the home, school, and community. Friday begins the decorating for the magnificent event known as Grad Party, now in its 25th year. On Saturday evening, starting at 9 p.m. until 5 a.m. on Sunday, the seniors will experience their school as never before. This hardworking committee has been fundraising all year and soliciting donations to transform the high school into an awesome experience for the class of 2019. They are still accepting donations. There is a link from the high school page to their website. One thing I am most proud of is how the PTOs work together. At monthly meetings, they share ideas for ways to make events and fundraisers more successful. They support each other and all work well together for the common purpose of giving the students a better school experience. Believe it or not, the school PTOs are already putting together their calendars of events for next year and their budgets. PTO would like to thank Interim Superintendent Dr. Tracy, the Board of Education, and the individual school administrators for your support of our efforts this year. I hope everyone has a safe and relaxing summer. Then we will do it all again next year. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mandy, thanks for all you've done for our kids this year. I've appreciated working with you.
Okay, student representatives? Okay, let's hear it. Somebody's
It's my
making her last one,
so-
right?
Gonna miss you.
Aw, thanks.
Oh, could you show the rest of the board your...
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
I was awarded this tonight, and I want to say thank you to all of you. It was great being on the board with you guys.
Never dull.
I could be pretty darn dull.
I ended up in the emergency room tonight, and I still came, so dedication. Right? So starting off tonight, we just wanted to say that senior picnic was a huge success, and we want to give a big thank you to the PTO. We all had so much fun. It was just a great day to have our principal cook for us and stuff like that. That was kind of nice. But it was a great day to just say goodbye to old friends and wish them luck on their future endeavors and everything. So it was a lot of fun.
And after further testing today and finals, there was a graduation practice today, and will be one also tomorrow to make sure the day goes with ease.
Graduation is Saturday at 2. Doors will open at 1. I expect you all to be there. It's okay if you aren't.
I got my regalia. I'm coming.
Yay! So obviously I'll be graduating with a bunch of other students who were so excited for what's to come. So
Finals are over tomorrow, but makeups will be held on Thursday. And the sports fall meeting was yesterday for all students, but it's especially a good time for the freshmen or the incoming freshmen to meet their coaches before the season, before tryouts.
And again, I'd just like to say a huge thank you. It's been awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And good luck in nursing school and college.
Okay, I need a motion to approve the following Board of Education meeting minutes. Regular meeting minutes, May 21, 2019.
Second.
Any discussion? Those in favor? And that's unanimous. Thank you. Moving on to the superintendent's report.
Yes, over the last month, 2 outstanding publications that are brought forward every year by youngsters at New Milford High School have come up. I don't know if you've had a chance to see the literary magazine, The Piper, outstanding variety of fiction and nonfiction writing, great photographs, very nicely put together under the guidance of Michelle Minto, the Piper advisor, and the Green Wave 2019 yearbook is out, and a fantastic job here as well. Very impressed with the variety of activities and the quality of the production by all the youngsters who worked on that. Ms. DeCorpo and I had the honor, along with the mayor, of attending the adult education graduation earlier this month. And our thanks to program leaders Christy Martin and Joe Neff, and congratulations to 27 graduates who were honored that evening. And as I told those graduates, I know that a lot of them did it the hard way, but they did it. And it's a very moving ceremony to attend. If you have not had the opportunity, I encourage you. We've got 8th grade promotional ceremonies coming up tomorrow and Thursday. High school graduation, as our students mentioned, 2 o'clock at WestCon on Saturday. Come early. The parking will be a challenge. I can guarantee you that. And then a couple of facilities updates. The Sarah Noble roof project has been funded by the town. It will start almost as soon as the last car pulls out of the parking lot when school closes. And hopefully that will put to an end a lot of the challenges that we've had in this building with dripping roofs and things of that sort. And finally, at long last, the Lillis oil tank project is over with, and Kevin and I will be hosting a hamburger picnic on the top of that parking lot Friday at noon. I'm serious. You're welcome to come by. We're going to celebrate. We're going to have it, rain or shine. Absolutely.
I like mine with, cheese. I'm going to have cheese also?
Cheese? Well, cheeseburger, hot dog, whatever we can do. But on a serious note,
I am going.
Thanks to your perseverance, we solved some serious problems that we didn't know existed, and so we opened up the ground. We're now in compliance with the law. We protected the environment. So it took a lot more than we thought it would. But Kevin, thanks for sticking with us, and we got it done. That's it for me.
Okay.
When can you park?
Monday.
Can you
But not
drive
before.
on it before then?
You can't go Friday.
Okay.
We have an hamburger.
So we can stand on it, but you can't drive on it. Okay.
As I mentioned earlier, in this meeting, we will be having a special meeting on Tuesday that will be posted because we do have to deal with the final budget adjustments, whatever they are, regardless. 7:30 we'll start. And we'll do our best to get a quorum there, and that's the best we can do on that. Okay. Also, I would just like to quickly recognize, hopefully, our superintendent-elect, Dr. Carrie Parker, who's here this evening. And with that being said, I'm going to move on to the committee and liaison reports. And then, if there's no objections, if the chairs of the committee would refer us to the minutes, I think we'd be appreciative of that. So with that being said, Brian?
Well, I just have sour grapes because Dr. Tracy stole my thunder. I was going to tell all about that.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Well, next surprise, go ahead.
You can cook on Friday.
Yes, right. But other than that, we talked about roofs and that hole, and yeah, I will. If you want to find out about it, you can check the minutes.
Thank you. Wendy?
Similar. We basically have our financial reports for adoption this evening. The questions will come up under each of those motions. We have several items of information with extensive reports that were brought to operations, and if board members have questions, please feel free to ask. But I'll wait, since we're acting on most of them, to go through them.
Thank you. Tammy?
I'm taking my whole time. We were able to get some business done that we've had on the agenda for a while after we have done the graduation requirements and they're done with. So all of policy 1325, 1330, 1331, 1411, 1412, 1430, and 1620 will all be reviewed tonight for first review by the board. And we have, as well as 1325 fundraising by students, there was no changes, so that won't appear, but that was also discussed. And due to time constraints, policy 1700 will be moved to our next meeting. There will be no meeting in July, possibly one in August. That's it.
Thank you. Ed Advance?
Advance was a
Hey.
no committee on learning.
Oh.
JT.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, I'm going to sneak in there.
That's right.
JT?
Threw it back to you.
We'll just talk about
Seeing that Wendy gets 45, or sorry, no, Wendy. Wendy took some time. I'm going to take some time.
I didn't take any time.
You took that. Ms. McInerney gets a 45-minute meeting, so I'm just going to apportion my time allotment to talk about three things. We have three curriculum you'll see on tonight's agenda for music. I know there was some lively discussion about the three different courses here, grade 6, 7, and 8 for general music. I just want to remind board members, one of the items under our purview as a board is to approve curriculum. And I would just remind folks that we can't have a course without a curriculum, but we can have a curriculum that doesn't have a course, right? So if you read the minutes, you'll see, it'll capture some of that discussion. You'll also see the 5-year curriculum plan is here. That's our best guess in where we are, right? And we talked a lot about some really exciting summer initiatives for reading programs across the district that we were all very impressed with, and we're really excited to see kind of where those programs go this summer, whether it be the math program or the reading, little nooks, little houses, right? Little libraries around town. So I think it's really going to engage our youngsters, and we're really, really excited for that. So thank you.
Eileen?
In advance, just two things. That Plymouth, Connecticut, wherever that is. They purchased their facility there. Where's Plymouth, Connecticut?
Next to Bristol.
Oh, Bristol, okay. Well, they finalized a purchase of a place there to start a program in that area. And the other thing is they've cut their debt obligation in half. Sorry. They had over $1 million debt obligation, and they have cut it in half since the last time Jeff spoke at our meeting.
Wow.
He said it was coming down, and it came down in half. So.
Okay, again, CABE is offering some workshops, but also I want to, I know Alicia, you probably already have this, policies regarding online courses have been tightened up a bit, so I'm sure that'll come around at some point for you. And Magnet School.
Magnet School, they had a meeting. Last time I said they'd only have a full meeting, but they made a mistake, whatever. And it was a meeting, and I was unable to attend, so I will throw the ball to Dr. Tracy, who did attend.
Yes, we had a brief but informative session. It was my first trip down to the academy. Beautiful building.
Very beautiful.
And a rising enrollment as more and more youngsters are signing up. I think there were 25 applicants from New Milford amongst the group. They will have a total student population of a little over 400, which will be an increase this coming year. So worth the trip. I'm glad I went down.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to discussion and possible action. I need a motion to approve Exhibit A, personnel certified, non-certified appointments, resignations, and leaves of absence as of June 18, 2019.
So moved. Second.
Is there any discussion? Those in favor? That's unanimous. Thank you. Okay, bid awards. I need a motion to award the bid for milk to Wade's Dairy Incorporated for a period of 1 year.
Moved. Second.
Any discussion? And those in favor? That's unanimous. Thank you. Okay, I need a motion to award the bid for frozen dessert to New England Ice Cream Corporation for a period of 1 year.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? And those in favor? That's unanimous. Thank you. Boiler cleaning. I need a motion to award the bid for boiler cleaning to Penmar Boiler Cleaning.
So moved. Second. Defer.
Any discussion?
Right.
Those in favor? Thank you. And I need a motion to award the bid for septic cleaning to New Milford Septic.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? And
Well,
those in favor?
discussion?
Oh, yeah.
Just really glad to see the bid award here for a local company too, right? So, yeah, sir.
Those in favor? And that's unanimous. Thank you. I need a motion to award the bid for security cameras, equipment, and licensing to Omni Data.
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion?
Are there any questions on this? This was brought up in operations. Part of
Okay.
the project that we're going to be doing.
Yep. Those in favor? And that's unanimous. Thank you. Monthly reports, C. I need a motion to approve monthly reports, budget position dated May 31, 2019, purchase resolution D723, and request for budget transfers that have been revised.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
If I can bring up on the purchase resolution.
Thank you.
This dovetails with the approval for the Windows 7 camera systems on the data.
Mhm.
There was a bid award notice for that. Also, if you were to approve purchase resolution D723 as presented, it also authorizes the other end of the year project, which is the fifth one down to Fuss and O'Neill, replacement of the Hill and Plain cafeteria flooring.
So upon approving these two, those projects will be moving forward.
Correct.
And we're confident that we can cover that.
Yes, out of fiscal year imbalance and within the time frame. There's only a certain amount of days before June 30th to go.
Thank you. Yes.
I had asked about the Hill and Plain floor from the food and nutrition budget overage.
Yes.
Did
So
we get
we had-
official ruling on that?
Sandra and I had provided a memo with our reading and interpretation of the policy, and then we had reached out to the state and gotten a letter that I believe was input into your packet.
There was a budget that she was using for the overage, but is that set in stone? We can't adjust that?
There was a budget document put in the packet as well as the letter, I believe, from the state.
I don't
And what
recall
did
seeing a letter.
what did the letter say, in case?
At
people don't have it?
operations, I apologize. It was not
Oh, okay.
necessarily in this packet, it was in the operations packet.
Could you just give an overage of what that said?
Give an overview of the letter?
What was the answer?
Thank you.
Sure, I'll pull it out one second.
I'm sorry?
I can give my interpretation.
I don't know why we
Discuss
wouldn't.
the operations.
Well, do we have someone that was at the operations meeting?
Wendy.
Yeah.
There was no. What, you pointing to me about the letter? No. Are you asking me to answer that question?
Yes.
Oh, sure. Basically, with regards to using some of those funds, it is my understanding, and I could be incorrect, that that's something that we might be able to pursue down the road, but right now we don't have the local policy in place. Is that correct, Anthony?
So specifically for Hill and Plain floor, there's two different questions here. The answer regarding Hill and Plain floor, if it fits into the state's definition of a project that food service can take on, the answer to that was no, and I'm pulling up the letter now. The follow-up question is there any things that we are not currently charging food services for right now?
Well, no, I was specifically asking about the floor right now.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about
Yeah.
in general.
Okay, so the answer is no.
So, yeah, and we did get a letter on that, and I'm sorry that it was just placed in the operations.
Oh, I have it.
And not necessarily the full
I
board
have it.
for. I have it right here, and I can read from it.
I have it.
It was in the operation.
I didn't see it.
It's not in.
Yeah, I don't see it either.
This is from Jackie Shipke from the State Food Services Division. And they say, based on USD guidance, this would not be an allowable cost for the local food services in the Milford Public Schools. To assume the New Milford Public Schools has previously submitted a plan to use the excess funds that have been accrued, which I think you provided a
Right, I've
copy
seen
of.
that.
and the plan has already been approved by our office, and the use of funds in that plan are all directly related to food service operation and improvement of meal service for the New Milford students. That was the direct opinion for the Hill and Plain floor only. And then the follow-up to that was, is there any things that we can charge food services for that we're not currently? So any of the direct costs for staffing, food items, preparation, all those direct costs that the state identifies, we charge food services for directly. There is another subset of costs, indirect costs, that cover utilities, that
Trash,
cover...
janitorial. I know, I've done extensive research on this.
That
And
cover...
I guess my opinion is very different than that. I think the floor could be covered. I mean, it's a moot point at this, if you've gotten the ruling
Right,
from the state.
Yeah, we're back
So-
to the actual transfer, but I agree
No,
with
I
what you're saying.
think, you know, I just think down the road, that's something that we really need to look into, because I'll save my comments for another
No.
time, but
If you give me a moment, the
On topic here, and that's with regards to, is the question dealing with the floor, is that satisfied? Okay.
yeah, the answer's,
Yeah.
so.
Okay. All right, so, we are at,
I have a question.
yeah,
Anthony, did you want to make a note of the revised excess cost revenues?
yes, there's a separate memo on that.
Which I think is important for the board to note, that our excess cost is lower than what we had anticipated. Is that fair to say, based from operations?
Correct. On operations, the projected shortfall was still 121,000.
And we're at 211?
We're at 211 now after receiving the second payment.
It's Exhibit 10F in the board packet, and at the operations committee, that number had not dropped in as of yet.
Correct.
And so we had explained that we'd come back to the board when that payment came in, and unfortunately, it's less than what we anticipated, which of course is absorbed in our budget.
Yep, we received it the morning of operations after the packet went out on the
Right.
7th. That's correct.
So I just wanted to call that to
Mhm.
everyone's attention in
Thank
case
you.
they missed
Yeah.
it.
JT?
Just by way of background, what was the final excess cost percentage that the state granted then? Because we had budgeted for 70.
Correct. You have to do some quick math on the final percentage there.
I'll give you some time. I know in years past, we were upwards of 63, there was 63, 68, right? So we always try to put that number around 70.
Mhm.
So I'm just curious if the state, they'll have one pot of money for this and how they dole that out, so. And just as we move forward with other budgets, we've done 70% this year too for next year's budget.
Correct.
So it's just,
Yeah, but
that's
that's
a
a
really tough number to
guideline.
pin down, and Laura knows that, and she works really hard to get us that, You
I
you
would've
tell me you
thought it
turn
would've
over
been higher
every
this year.
paperclip you can for this, right?
It's
Count
difficult
everything.
Because the number comes in the middle of June, and here we are trying to.
Well, I think that's one of the issues that we were even facing tonight, is that the state budget comes out after we've passed the
Municipal,
town
yeah.
budgets, which
Right.
makes life very miserable.
Anthony, any buck on that?
So the budgeted amount that we had received, I have to go back to the operations packet if you just hold on one second.
I don't want to hold up this up. I mean, we can, yeah, let's move on that.
Good with that?
Take some
Okay.
time, yeah, because I know that percentage becomes allocated for every district in the state is the same percentage they give, right?
The effective percentage that we received is down to 63% for this year.
Okay, that's worth noting, because again, moving forward, we cooked in 70% for next year, so. Thank you, Anthony.
Yeah. And I'll repeat the motion, to approve monthly reports, budget position dated May 31, 2019, purchase resolution G723, and request for budget transfers revised.
Item clarification. We already have the
Yeah.
motion on the table.
Right, I was just
Further
reading it
questions?
over in case people,
Could you give me a quick, the budget transfer change?
Sure.
Anthony?
It was the elimination of the one for athletics.
Yep.
After I met with the athletic director, he received some additional bills for transportation that
Yes.
was going to fund some of those things.
Okay.
So he had less money in the tank, so to speak, in transportation to transfer elsewhere.
Okay. That's revised, just so the board knows. Okay.
Those in favor? And opposed? Thank you. I need a motion to accept gifts and donations PTO Exhibit B in the amount of $9,697.
So moved.
I'll second that. Any discussion? Again, we heard the tally for the whole year. I think that's a wonderful thing from our PTOs throughout the district. Those in favor? That's unanimous. Thank you. I need a motion to accept gifts and donations Gold Ring Family Foundation in the amount of $22,265.60. And I'll second that. And this is another generous, over the years, donation from this foundation that basically has funded most of the equipment in our STEM courses and curriculums. So it's just absolutely astounding that it continues year after year.
Absolutely.
Anyway, those in favor? And that's unanimous. Thank you. I need a motion to approve the adult education PET grant in the amount of $78,000.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Those in favor? Thank you. I need a motion to approve the authorization of signatory on district accounts Exhibit D.
So moved.
Second? Any discussion? Those in favor? And thank you. I need a motion to approve the revised sending town agreement for the Chippewa Regional Agri-Science Program 2019-20 and to authorize the board chair to sign on its behalf.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
So we'll be sending 18 to 14. Where's the number?
Yeah.
A total of 20 to the Nottawag program, 12 at Nottawag, 8 this year at Chippewa. Nottawag will phase out, and 4 years from now, all 20 will be going to Chippewa. Superintendent Bennett and I have talked about this on numerous occasions, and this language reflects her expectations as well as mine.
Good, okay. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Yes, sir.
It's just, and I will always say, unfortunately, we don't have more students participating.
Okay, those in favor? Thank you. Okay, now we're
David,
on.
could I ask a point of privilege, sir?
Sure.
I just thought, for the Chippewa Agri-Science Program, would it behoove us then, maybe I'm thinking, plan it out, just like we have a representative for the magnet school program, would it behoove us maybe to appoint a liaison with that program to kind of, because as one of our partner programs, even with Nottawag too, maybe to have someone who has that liaison and can be, I don't know if they meet like I know the
Well,
magnet school.
that's certainly an
or-
avenue we need to pursue.
Yeah.
Certainly if they have a separate governing body, we want to be represented. But in most cases with those types of arrangements, Alicia gets that.
Okay, all right. No, I'm just thinking if there's interest
Yeah.
at the board level to
Yeah.
be involved in those discussions too.
Certainly.
or-
Whereas the magnet schools does have a.
It does have a governing board,
Yeah.
this is true.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for indulging me.
And then policies for first review. 1325, advertising and promotion. 1330, use of school facilities. 1331, smoking. 1411, relations with police authorities. 1412, fire department. 1430, state and federal aid. And 1620, relations with private schools, colleges, and universities. Again, these are the first review. We get 2 more reviews of it before it being adopted. Any comments at this time? Yes, sir.
2, we discussed them at length, and some of these are very involved, particularly relationship with police authorities But I will make this comment, I don't know if anybody has seen or read this, with regard to the smoking policy. A school district in the state of Nebraska just voted to test students randomly for nicotine.
Mhm.
And it passed the Board of Ed, so things are changing.
Yeah, I saw that. Thank you. And I need a motion to approve the following curriculum, grade 6 general music.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Those in favor? And opposed?
Oh, for the curriculum?
Yeah.
Oh, grade 6, I'm
Yes.
sorry. I'm in favor.
Okay, thank you. I need a motion to approve the following curriculum, grade 7 general music.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? And those in favor? And thank you. I need a motion to approve the following curriculum, grade 8 general music.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? And those in favor? And opposed?
All those in favor?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Corpo, for shepherding all that work through. Appreciate it.
And I need a motion to approve the 5-year curriculum plan. I'll move that. And if I could speak to it, please understand this is a very fluid document, as we know, over the years, but it does give us direction for where we're going with the changing curriculums. For example, a lot of times the state will come down with a new mandate, and that throws us out of kilter. But, well, Wendy, as you know, we've been working very hard on this for the last many years to bring it up to par, and I thank you for getting that, but it is something that can change very quickly.
Can I add
Yes, sir.
one other thing that we learned in the Committee on Learning's discussion on this? There was some curriculum that have gone well beyond that 5-year period where they haven't been updated, but some of that actually comes down to people who aren't necessarily interested in writing that curriculum and revising that curriculum. So it's not so much that there is a not an appetite to want to review it, but there's not necessarily an appetite for the staffing by which someone will review it and revise it. So
Well,
I think
I'm
that was
sure-
interesting for us to know.
I'm sure our administration will work on that.
Yes, yes.
I'm confident. Okay, I need a motion to approve the appointment of the assistant superintendent.
Oh, we could have voted.
Oh, we didn't vote,
Sure,
did we?
discussion.
Those in favor of the 5-year plan?
Yeah, I had one comment. I'm sorry.
Sir, go right ahead, Joe. Go.
Business and practical arts technology. And yet, here we are thinking about eliminating teachers in those positions. Food for thought. Okay.
Okay, those in favor again? And thank you. I need a motion to approve the appointment of the assistant superintendent and in his/her absence, the director of human resources as designee for the superintendent of schools from July 1 through June 30th, July 1, 2019 through June 30th, 2020.
I'll move it.
I'll second that. Any discussion? Those in favor? And thank you. I need a motion to authorize the superintendent to accept resignations and make appointments, excluding administrative appointments from June 19, 2019 through September 17, 2019.
Second.
Any discussion? Those in favor? And thank you. I need a motion to authorize the superintendent to purchase budgeted instructional materials and other supplies, equipment, and services from June 19, 2019 through September 17, 2019.
So moved.
Second.
And is there any discussion? Those in favor? And thank you. Oh, we have already dealt with?
Do you have a motion for item N?
End of your balance.
Oh, I'm sorry, end of year balance?
For
is that just for discussion?
That's for item of information we can talk about. I don't have a motion for that
Just
at
wanted
this
to be
point.
clear on that.
End of the year balance, how are we looking for that?
So the last, last fiscal year under the balance did not include the projects that were authorized this evening for end of the year, which was the Helen Plain floor and the Windows 7 camera upgrades. At the time, that projected fiscal year balance when we met at operations was $230,000. We've had the last payroll to teachers since then, and some changes in special education with placements, amounts on POs that were through the end of the year with students that did not attend those institutions to the end of the year. So our projected fiscal year balance is no longer closer to 230. We're at about $310,000. That, of course, is subject to
Final audit.
Final audit.
We still have, several days left in the fiscal year and calendar left,
Mhm.
subject to final audit, which would not take place and authorized until January of 2020, and that's fall time.
However, the board will see this again either over the summer or by the beginning of the school year to take a look at the end of the year balance and act on it.
Sure. All
Correct.
those purchases that were approved in item M, giving authorization to the superintendent to purchase those items, we still report on those items through the end of July, at that next meeting, through the end of June at your July meeting. I don't know if you're going to have a full subcommittees, but definitely a full board, I've heard. So purchases through the end of June that would affect that fiscal year balance will be available at the July meeting.
Great.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Anthony, thank you for keeping us straight and keeping us in the black all year long. Appreciate it.
Okay, items for information and discussion. Field trip report. Annual emergency preparedness report. Annual wellness report. Annual report of the John J. McCarthy Observatory. Clubs and activities report. And the excess cost payment 202 for 2018-19 revise. Okay, at this time, I need a motion to enter into executive session to discuss the employment and salary of the Assistant Superintendent, Director of Human Services, Director of Fiscal Services and Operations, Director of Food Services, Systems Analysis, Account Data Specialist, Network Administrator, Accounting Manager, Facilities Director, Assistant Facilities Director, Administrative Assistant to the Superintendent, Adult Education Facilitator, Board Certified Behavior Analyst, District Courier, and Lab Assistant, and to invite into said session Dr. Stephen Tracy, Anthony Giovanni, and Ms. Elme Baldelli.
So moved.
Any discussion? Those in favor? Thank you.
but you've been up all night.
Don't even give me your sad story.
If I stop for like 30 seconds, I'll be out.
Okay, thank you.
I leave this thing, I have to drink. Every time I leave the field.
That's comforting.
Okay, I need a motion to improve the employment and salary of the Assistant Superintendent, Director of Human Resources, Director of Fiscal Services and Operations, Director of Food Services, Systems Analyst, Account Data Specialist, Network Administrator, Accounting Manager, Facilities Director, Assistant Facilities Director, Administrative Assistant to the Superintendent, Adult Education Facilitator, Board Certified Behavior Analyst, and District Courier and Lab Assistant as discussed in executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? JT, then Joe?
Can I just ask a procedural question? When we read motions like that, do we have to read the motion, or could we just say as written on the
No.
agenda?
No, it has, the public has to understand.
All right, because I've seen the town council do some things differently. This year.
Well, we're not doing it here.
We have a different
The public
level
needs
over
to
here.
know what we're voting on, period. Joe?
I'm not gonna vote for this for a simple reason. It's inadequate.
Okay. Anybody else? Those in favor? And opposed? Thank you. Okay, I need a motion to enter into executive session to discuss the proposed contract for the superintendent of schools and to invite into said session Ms. Elmay Badelli and Dr. Carrie Parker.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Those in favor? Okay, thank you. Looks like a budget.
I'll get them to my car. I get 15,000. 4 hour.
You probably sweat it off. Did he leave? Yeah. He did. He did.
Okay, at this point, I need a motion to approve the proposed 3-year contract for the superintendent of schools as discussed in executive session, and to further move that the board authorize the board chair to sign the contract on behalf of the board.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Those in favor? Wonderful. Congratulations, Superintendent. Superintendent-elect. You got until July 1 before you're the superintendent. Okay, at this point, I need a motion to adjourn. Second, those in favor? Thank you.